Hello everyone. Christmas is drawing near. Of course, here in New Zealand we don't have snowflakes like on my runners here. It's summer here and I'm looking forward to our first crop of blueberries. Poodle Pass just picked the very first ones specially for me. So today I want to make it short and sweet because basically this is something I think makes the perfect gift. There aren't many things I would say that of, but for anyone among your family and friends who's into animated movies, who loves maybe Studio Ghibli, is already a fan, knows maybe some of the other movies like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and Totoro and Mononoke, but especially the movie and maybe the manga Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. For anyone who is already a fan of this book is probably the ultimate gift. I would go so far as to say this is a must-have book for anyone who's a fan of Nausicaa. I've just finished reading it. It's not a long book. The pages are not numbered, but I think it's 126 for the story. So it's very compact. And yes, it's a standalone story. I'm obviously not going to tell you the story of Shuna's journey, but I just want to fill you in on the background, because the book is quite old actually. So Shuna's Journey was published in Japan in June 1983, 2 years before the launch of Studio Ghibli. So this is a note from the translator. The book is not exactly a manga. It is closer to what the Japanese would call an monogatari, or an illustrated story. Although it continues to sell well in Japan, elsewhere Shuna's Journey has been generally overlooked by fans and scholars. No doubt this is partly because until now the book had never been published in translation. The publishing company who brought this out is called FirstSecondBooks.com in New York, and the first English language edition, an American edition, this one, came out last year in 2022. So this is the only standalone monogatari illustrated storybook that Miyazaki has ever produced. Hayao Miyazaki wrote an afterword himself for this edition of Shuna's Journey. And I just want to mention that he writes the story is based on the Tibetan folk tale, The Prince Who Turned into a Dog. So from the date I mentioned, early 1980s, you can already see, if you're familiar with Nausicaa, that there is a time overlap with the creation of this story for publication and the making of the movie. And I just want to mention one final really interesting note on this by the translator. Miyazaki had a particularly fertile period at that time in the early 1980s. Many different projects that over time came to fruition. And from this jumble of ideas, the worlds of Nausicaa and Shuna's Journey coalesced in tandem. Miyazaki began drawing Nausicaa in September 1981. Meanwhile, the artist was developing the world of Shuna's Journey. In November 1982, he quit his job at animation studio Telecom Animation Film and was promptly approached to publish something. Thus, Shuna's Journey took shape as a book. Miyazaki finished it in May 1983 as pre-production on the feature adaptation of Nausicaa was getting underway, so it is little surprise that Nausicaa, both manga and film, and SHUNA'S journey share many motifs and concerns. Desert landscapes, vast tomb-like structures, dwindling natural resources, the figure of a monarch defending a small windswept kingdom. Some pages in SHUNA'S journey are almost indistinguishable from concept art published in the book Nausicaa Watercolour Impressions. And that is exactly how it struck me. The illustrations are simply beyond beautiful. The story is told very economically. Each panel, each page is essential. It's just perfect as it is. That's the Valley Kingdom where the story starts. And here you see a typical page, generous panel sizes, but enough to keep the story flowing with beautiful detail in each illustration. And you see the resemblance with Nausicaa straight away, especially in the characters, how they look, their faces, how they're dressed. I read SHUNA'S journey over 2 afternoons, and it was just perfect. I wouldn't have wanted it to be any shorter, but I also didn't want it to be any longer. The impact of the story is heightened by the brevity of the tale. The book is rated E10+, so it's suitable for a wide age range, starting at about 10 years old, and I would say that's about right, because it can be a bit frightening in places. There isn't any blood and gore as such, but there are some sort of eerie, scary scenes and moments. Yes, so 10 upwards sounds good to me. It will appeal to a wide age range, from young all the way to old. Whoever loves colour, art and storytelling, I'm convinced, will really treasure this book. I warmly and wholeheartedly recommend this book. As always, thank you for your time. Please keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye-bye.